where there is a delay or deviance in speech and social development of the child. And also these children, they exhibit restricted repetitive behaviors. So autism, it's noted across the cultures, and it's more prevalent in males. Onset is generally before 3 years, but can present for evaluation and treatment at any point in development. So that's why recent DSM-5 diagnosis, the diagnosis guidelines, it has changed from the diagnosis onset should be less than before 3 years was the earlier criteria. Now it is any early developmental period. So sometimes that means some children with autism, they develop normally up to age of 1.5 year, 2 year, and then they start losing the skills. Sometimes we have seen children developing up to 2.5, 3 year, then they start losing the skills. So this phenomena is called developmental regression. That means like sometimes parents wonder that my child was doing well, he was speaking, he was responding to name call. Suddenly he stopped speaking. Suddenly he started remaining silent, stopped responding to the name call. So roughly the research says that 1/3 of children with autism develop this phenomena called regression. So and sometimes comorbid conditions are also common. Comorbid conditions means when these children, when they reach adolescence, sometimes psychiatric disorders are seen. Psychiatric disorders means like kind of anxiety, OCD, even psychosis. So these type of other comorbid psychiatric conditions are seen. So even sometimes ADHD is also comorbid with autism. Some 20 to 30% of children with autism have significant hyperactivity, so which almost qualifies to the diagnosis of comorbid ADHD. So as I said, now the classification system has changed in a sense from DSM-4 to DSM-5. Earlier it was autism, Asperger, PDD-NOS were different in a separate disorders under DSM-4. Now it's in DSM-5, everything is clubbed under autism spectrum disorder. So if you see this graph, so how is the prevalence going up? It is the CDC report, CDC statistics. So it was like around maybe 1 in 150 in 2000 to now. You see that last 2018, that is in 2018, so it's 1 in 59 children are having symptoms of EST. This is the CDC statistics. So why there is such a alarming rise in prevalence? So that is what most of the researchers all over the world are concerned about. Is it because we are diagnosing autism more frequently? Is it because of increased awareness among the medical faculty? Is it because of increased awareness among parents, caregivers, teachers? That's why we are seeing more children with autism. Or is there any actual increase in the autism? That means that what we say in medical terms is there any true increase in incidence of autism? So as per the research, it is combination of these factors. That means there is a increased recognitions. We are recognizing children with autism these days more frequently, and also there is some increase in the rise in incidence of autism. So what is good thing about the one recently published study, that is Swedish population study, it indicated that prevalence of autism had remained same for cases with moderate to severe autism, but has increased for those with milder symptoms. That means the whatever prevalence we are seeing, so many number of autism cases are increasing. Are these cases are all severe, moderate to severe autism? No. The research says that there is an increase in prevalence for milder spectrum of autism, but whereas prevalence for moderate to severe autism has remained same. That means we are seeing more of a mild autism cases these days frequently. And what is second important point is sometimes children diagnosed at 30 months or younger, so are more likely to experience a change in classification from EST to non-EST. Then the children who are diagnosed 31 months or older. That means if you diagnose a child as an autism before 3 years, so there is a likelihood that there is a change in diagnosis from EST to non-EST. That means some children with autism, they look like autism, but they eventually come out of the autism maybe like when you assess them again at 3 years, 3.5 years. So we don't know like why this phenomenon is happening. Are these cases are actual autism cases, or are we detecting subthreshold symptoms like under ASD category? So these are the debate which are going on. So that's why we as a, like for I tell all parents, like the suddenly some child is showing, some child is just not responding to name call or some speech delay. So that doesn't always mean autism. So for autism diagnosis we need to have a set of symptoms, and so the current research says that we need to wait up to 3 years to formally label as a ASD, because sometimes children we can say only that before 3 years at risk for ASD, because sometimes these children they appear to be autism, but over the time that they develop to a very significant extent that we think that whether child actually met criteria for ASD. So ASD, as you all know, that it's a group of developmental disabilities that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral change. So since because delays are pervasive, early intervention programming is becoming a common tool used to counteract challenges that may occur due to these delays. So I mentioned about the phenomena of regression. Regression means like when you typically, some parents come with a concern that our child was doing well exactly around the age of 1.5 to 2 years. We started noticing that he has become silent. He is not responding to name call. Whatever he was speaking, he stopped speaking, or whatever he was speaking after that, there was no growth in his speech. That means his vocabulary remained same. So in this graph we can see that around the age of 13 to 24 months, that means around 1.5 to 2 years, so most of the kids like regress. That means even if regression happens, that happens within this 3 years. So but sometimes, in very rarely some cases, we have noticed that even children at the age of 3.5 years, they have done well and they have regressed. So this is one phenomena which is being researched very significantly these days, that why children start losing the skills around the age of 2 years. So, what are the facts about outcome? Like whether all children with autism have same prognosis? So there is an increasing evidence that says that early intensive treatment has a better impact on outcome. That means there is a better outcome. So there are two prognostic factors in children with autism. What are prognostic factor means? Which children with autism are going to improve if you start intervention early? So one, child with a better IQ, a child who is having an IQ almost near normal or even above normal, these are the children who are going to pick like anything. That means they improve significantly if you start early intervention. Second, higher verbal and social ability. That means a child who has some speech, a child who has developed speech before 5 years, that means there is a higher chance that this child is going to do well with a proper intervention program. So and other things are like less severe autism, so like mild ASD spectrum. So autism doesn't always mean that there is a bad prognosis. So when a child he's having with autism is having a better IQ, and child is having a good verbal ability developed before 5 years, that means these children they do well if you start intervention early. So, according to the research, the second year of life is a critical time to examine the early development and emerging symptoms of ESD. So, due to this recent knowledge, it is critical not only to identify the disorder early, but also to begin receiving various intervention services in a timely manner. So, in our country or in most of the countries, so like now there is a delay in autism diagnosis. That means like by the time on an average, like in our country, a child receives diagnosis of autism at the age of 3.5 years to 4 years. So, but the thing is like, so and sometimes even if the children receive diagnosis of autism at the age of 3.5 year, by the time they start intervention, it's already 4.5 year. So So research consistently says that it is not only critical to identify these children early, but also to begin the various early intervention services. So in most of the Western countries, sometimes it happens that like they undergo a detailed process of assessment. By the time they get an appointment and undergo assessment process, and the autism diagnosis is formed, so the very crucial time is being lost. So that's why so there is a we need to emphasize that once the child, we are noticing some symptoms of EST, which we need to start the intervention as early as possible. So why we need to start this early intervention as early as possible? Because this is the brain plasticity is very important. So especially like from we can see that the from 6 months to 4 year, it's a critical period of the brain development. Why we say this critical period of brain development? This means the brain has got a capacity to recover from any kind of trauma or illness during this period if you start the intervention. So that means even if child receives injury, head injury, other kinds of delay, so the brain has capacity to recover significantly during this period. So that's why even if you start noticing some symptoms of ASD or some symptoms of developmental delay, start early intervention so that the child regains the skills to a significant level. So as I said, like this is the critical period of the brain development, and the brain is changed by it biological and environmental factors. So that means like the experiences also shape how neurons are expressed. It is not that just only genetic factors determine the child development. It is also environmental factors also very important. Experiences means like the child, how much language stimulation child is getting for the first 2 years is very very important. So the even if child is having some symptoms of ESD, if there is a proper language stimulation goes on before 2 year, before 3 year, that means there is a so that will help the child to a greater extent. So these days I see a lot of children, sometimes even during this pandemic. So I've seen children after child who was doing well, was picking up skills, and during the lockdown, after the lockdown, there is some decrease in the development. A child was responding well, suddenly stopped responding. Suddenly there is some drop in eye contact, some response has decreased. So and the same child, like when it starts receiving, when this child starts going out, the parent starts spending more time with the child, screen time being reduced significantly, you'll see that the child again starts responding to the name call, again showing the same emotions. So it is, there are, so these days like we are seeing a lot of environmental factors also contributing to some symptoms of speech and social developmental delay, which look like autism but they are not. So that's why what is important is what this line connections used repeatedly becomes permanent. When there is a little stimulation, neuronal connections fail to develop. So that's why the language stimulation is very very important. So child needs an environment where there is a constant exposure to different kinds of voice, now sounds, noise. So a person speaking to them regularly. So this first so language stimulation helps them to develop in a better way. So that's why there is a, as we now know that early intervention is very important. So what is early intervention? Early intervention is a combination of services about like occupation, speech, physical developmental therapy, psychological. See, nowadays there is a lot of confusion about like what therapy we have to give to the children with autism. Somebody says we have to give speech therapy, somebody says no, you should not give speech therapy, you should give occupation therapy, somebody says no, he should get special education, somebody says they should get music therapies. So lot of non-evidence based therapies are coming up these days. So it becomes very difficult for parents to like which therapy we need to go or which therapy we need to follow. So the research says that there is a evidence for three therapies. What are those three therapy? One is speech language therapy, second is occupation and sensory integration therapy, third is behavioral therapy. These are the three therapies which are very very important for the children with the ESD. So, researcher suggested that age of entry into intervention is a predictive of outcome. That means when you start intervention, that predicts the outcome in children with ASD. So, there was one study which said that children with ASD who participated in intensive intervention by 3.5 years of age had significantly better outcome than their peers with ESD who received such intervention after the age 5. That means children with autism who received intervention by 3.5 years had better outcome compared to the children who received this intervention after the age of 5. So that all says that early intensive therapy is good. So when we say early means as early as possible. Whenever you see that there are some symptoms of ASD, start some kind of intervention. So not necessarily structured intervention, at least I teach parents, like, because the parents are the persons who spend a lot of time with the kids. So we need to educate parents so that, like, the therapy techniques, how to interact with the child so that child responds better. So there is a great need to educate parents, and so that, like, they can practice these techniques in the home. So in early means as early as possible. Intensive means, what is intensive? We say that so 25 to 40 hours per week is considered as intensive therapy. That means it is your time, therapist time, so including all the time.
Webinar, Dr. Saloni Priya. She's Director Ummeed Counseling and Consulting Services. And she's a counseling psychologist working in the area of education management, teacher development and training, student empowerment and counseling. She will be enlightening us and the parents together about the myths that are associated with autism. So she will continue once you are done with your presentation, Dr. Praveen.
Okay.
You can continue from here.
Thank you, ma'am. So, like, as I said, the important areas are one of the major symptom in autism is like the lack of joint attention. So how we diagnose autism is in one basic simple clinical test is when a child comes into your clinic, we just ask the child to look up whether child is looking up. If child is not looking up, that means there is a lack of joint attention. So if you see, if generally you can ask whether child follows your instruction. So if you ask the child to look up, whether child is following or not. So this lack of joint attention is one of the key feature in autism. So our intervention should focus on improving the eye contact, improve the imitation, improve the joint attention. So I've seen a lot of time, sometimes there is only focus on speech therapy, sometimes focus on occupation therapy. But if we do not help the child to learn imitation, so then it becomes difficult for the child to learn the speech. So to develop the speech, we need to first improve the imitation of the child. Imitation means there are two types of, one is motor imitation, second is vocal. Motor means if you tap, the child also tap, that's a motor. Vocal means if you say some sound, child repeats that sound. So that vocal imitation has to come. So to do that, sometimes there is a strategy called joining in. Joining in means you start imitating the child. So whatever the child is doing, I tell parents that whenever they come with first symptoms of autism, next 2 months your target is just join them. That means what they are doing, you just do that. Whatever the action they are doing, you repeat it. Whatever the sounds they are making, you just repeat it. See, by joining in, now once you start repeating, child starts looking at you that there is somebody who is doing like him. So this improves the eye contact. So this improves the imitation. So we need to improve the eye contact, we need to improve the imitation, we need to improve the joint attentions to improve the children. So like as I said, the group which received an like a specific intervention focusing on 3 areas did well compared to the control group in which there was no active such intervention. So if you see that, like, so in this study, children with autism improved in language, reciprocal social interaction, and symbolic play. So parents also noted that success in improvement of their children's language, social interaction, and their own stress level. See, what is important of involving parents is, see, sometimes as a psychiatrist, I see a lot of times, sometimes the parental depression. sometimes even marital discord. So a lot of anxiety and depression in both parents, mother and father. So that also affects the child's development. So it is not just we should look at the child, we should look at as a whole family. So if we just focusing on the child, so somewhere if we empower the parents, then definitely there will be a change in the child's development. So there is a need to focus on the family and help the parents to understand these techniques, so that and also address their emotional needs. Addressing the emotional needs of the parents is very, very important in into any intervention program. So if you see that you all know that there are different types of training programs. So one of the evidence, what are the evidence based behavior, I said about speech language, so occupation and behavioral therapies. What is the behavioral therapy which is for which there is a research evidence? That means if you do this therapy, there is a definitely a change in will be the seen. So the strong evidence is for ABA, applied behavior analysis, and the other programs are naturalistic behavior program and family involvement. So if you see that all these program involve the focus on four areas. One, parental involvement in intervention, that's very, very important. And individualization, that means you have to take each child with autism as an individual. We should not generalize the this one. So we have to take their unique developmental profile, and then we have to plan the intervention, focusing on a broad learning targets rather than a specific this one. And we have to start the intervention as early as possible when the risk is noticed. So ABA techniques, like I won't go into these techniques, see, but basic things are like, it's more of a I always tell parents to learn rewarding strategies. Rewarding strategies are very, very important. Rewarding means whenever child makes eye contact with you, whenever child responds to your call, whenever child makes some imitation, appreciate. Appreciation can be a clapping, appreciation can be social reward, appreciation can be hugging. So always reward should be immediate, means whenever child looks at you, you have to appreciate immediately. It should be consistent. That means 10 times child responds to your name call, 10 times you have to appreciate them. Third, it should be contingent. That means it should be always on doing some behavior. And it should be clear. You tell the child that, oh, you are responding, that's why appreciate it. Whether child understand these concepts or not, don't worry. Your work is to just reward the child consistently. So that's the major goal of ABA. So ABA also includes the techniques I said about reinforcement, other techniques like prompting, task analysis. So these are some techniques where therapist will be able to focus. So ABA predominantly focuses on like a clinic based therapy. That means a specific goal will be given to the child, accordingly the therapy will be planned. So in another complete group of therapies, naturalistic behavioral therapy. That means it's more of a so this focus on keeping the child comfortable in their home environment or community settings that are natural or normal for a typical developing child. So research says that this works better for kids. So it improves the joint attention and communications of the skills of the toddler age. So there was a lot of studies on like therapist going to the parents' home and doing the therapy, helping them to understand, helping them to teach the therapy technique. So it is found that like this family involvement or therapy in the community setting, so helps the children to learn skills. So the amount of parent investment could be possibly most important of all strategies to carry over. So different research studies have shown that early intervention services for children with autism show significant improvement of different parts of communication. So several aspects of early intervention program definitely benefit children. So one research which said that with access to high quality interventions in the infant and toddler years, the possibility exists for even prevention of autism, or at least reduction in the severity of autism. So one thing is sure, if the child gets an access to quality early intervention program, there will be definitely a reduction in severity of children's symptoms over the lifespan, because the brain is very malleable during the critical period of the development. So the screen time, it's one very important aspect which I would like to tell all. This one is especially the screen time has to be reduced. Like excess exposure to screen should be reduced before 18 months. So there is a significant association with no outdoor equipment at home, fewer than 5 outings per week. So that means all these things, the screen time has to be reduced, because we see that sometimes children come with like autism like symptoms. So when you stop screen time completely, total stoppage of screen time including mobile, TV, so we see that suddenly change in, suddenly they start responding more, they start this one. So although research doesn't say that screen time causes autism, but yes, research says that the excess screen time before 18 months is associated with speech delay. So this is one important slide is, if you start early intervention, if for example if autism is diagnosed by 2 years, only there is a 8% chance that autism comorbid intellectual disability. So which literally we say in mental retardation, what we used to say, autism doesn't mean intellectual disability, or autism doesn't mean mental retardation. Children with autism can have a normal IQ, can have a lower IQ, can have a above normal IQ. So what the research says that if you start therapy early, the chances of associated mental retardation comes down very significantly. Means if you diagnose by 2 years, only 8% there is a mental retardation component is there. But if you diagnose autism after 3 years, there is a 24% comorbid mental retardation prevalence is there. So that's why there is a need to start intervention very early. So there are also a lot of concerns the parents have regarding whether I should go for new therapies are coming, whether I should give gluten-free diet, whether I should give whether I should go for stem cell therapy, whether I should give biomedical treatment, whether I should give. There are a lot of but what is important is there is we should go for what is evidence-based. Evidence-based means like if you give this intervention medication or this one therapy to such a for example 100 children, is there any significant whether the majority of children are getting benefit out of this intervention? So that's why as of now we do not have strong evidence. American Center for Autism and our premier institutions in India like CMC Vellore, like NIMANS, like AIMS Delhi, PGI, they do not recommend any gluten-free diet. They do not recommend any stem cell therapy. They do not recommend any biomedical treatment. So also like sometimes the parents ask about question what medication, whether medication should be given. See there are we do not give medications until unless when there is a significant hyperactivity, when there is significant behavioral issues, when there is significant self-injurious behavior. These are the only three indications when we give medication. That is what medications are indicated. When child is exhibiting severe anger problem, when he's hitting himself, hitting others, when child is having significant hyperactivity because of which child is not able to learn, when child is having significant irritability, he's just not able to, he's not settling, irritability is there. So then we give medications to manage this behavior. And FDA approved, there are only two medications which are safe and effective in children with autism. And these are the only two medications which are recommended in autism. That is, one is risperidone, second is aripiprazole. These are the two medications which are given to manage behavioral issues in children with autism. But as of now, we do not have any specific medication to improve the core symptoms of autism. That means to improve specifically to the speech, specifically to the social development. We do not have specific medications to the autism. But having said that, a lot of time when we manage behavioral issues, when we manage attention in children with autism, they learn significantly. They get benefit more from therapy. So medications are only indicated when there is a significant behavioral issues. And it is not like these medications should be given like a lifelong. No, we generally these medications are given for 1 to 2 years, and then we after 1 year we assess that is there any ongoing need for medication, whether still child needs medication or not. So we decide on a yearly basis. And what is also important is when child receives simultaneously therapy, need for medication comes down. Even if we give medications, the dosage of medication we give very little if child also receives occupational therapy, because it itself reduces the hyperactivity, it itself reduces the sensory behavior. So the need for medication comes down if the child is receiving the proper intervention program. So sometimes parents ask like how you diagnose autism, or whether there is no lab test, or there is no scan, or there is no the blood test by which we confirm autism diagnosis. So autism diagnosis is done by a direct observation of experienced clinician. So for example, observing the child in a clinic, so in a doctor's clinic. So that is the very important thing. Second, it is confirmed by psychological scales. Like there are some scales which give a confirmatory diagnosis. These are called like ADIR, Autism Diagnostic Interview Revised, or ADOS. Or in India now we have come with last 4 5 years Incline DT, which gives a confirmation diagnosis for EST. So there are some screening scales like the CARS, MCHAT. So and these are all some screening scales. So psychological scales are not the confirmatory for diagnosis. They help us to confirm the diagnosis, but so sometimes it is not just the only scales that will give the diagnosis. It is the clinician observation that's very very important. So it's a big topic. I try to cover maybe very important area. So what is important is and also I said about early intervention, but the one last thing which I would like to focus is this year's World Autism theme is transition to adulthood. That means what about the children who reach adolescence? When they reach adulthood, what are the services we can provide for them? So there is a great need to increase and invest in the what are the services we can plan for these kids when they reach adolescence, because a lot of time children with autism when they reach adolescence, we see significant behavioral issues, significant concerns related to the concerns related to sexual behaviors. So concerns related to how will be their independent living. So these are the concerns we sometimes get. So what is important for a parent, like what I would like to inform is like always focus on self-care, for whether because self-care can be taught in the home itself. At least they should be independent in their self-care activity, breathing, brushing, toileting, dressing. These skills can be taught over the time, but if these skills are taught from very early age, that is they will become independent. So and also focus on functional academic skills. That means functional skills means what are the skills which are required for the basic life. So basic skills required for the life. So basic education, functional academic skills we should focus on, especially in adolescents who are very non-verbal, who are having significant issues with respect to development. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Back to you.
Yes, you are done with your presentation. So I invite Saloni Priya ji.
Yes, ma'am.
To start her presentation.
Yes.
Very good evening.
Trina.
I'm just allowing.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm just allowing Trina to join as co-host.
Yes.
So you can go ahead with the presentation. So once you're done with your presentation, I would request our experts to help our parents, get some answers to their questions that they have been patiently waiting for.
Absolutely, ma'am.
From both you and Dr. Praveen.
Yes, we'll be happy to. So thank you so much.
Please. We are delighted to have both of you here.
It's a pleasure, and I must congratulate Moms Believe for this wonderful intervention, this initiative to create more awareness. In fact, the month of April, we have started celebrating in mental health profession as an awareness of autism month. And thank you, Dr. Praveen, for a very, very comprehensive, very in-depth presentation. And as you very rightly said, it is a very, very vast field to talk about on such a small notice and a small duration of time. However, my heartiest congratulations and greetings to everybody associated with Mom's Belief and all our dear participants who are here with us. As Dr. Praveen has given us an insight about the early intervention, we all are aware that autism is a social spectrum disorder. And that's why I would like to add here today that the role of society here is extremely important. I have been helping a lot of families. A lot of my pioneer work has been in the field of sensitizing school principals, heads of Montessori institutions, that how teachers should be trained into dealing and practically including children with autism spectrum disorder into the mainstream. And I've always felt that it is not that we are not aware of autism spectrum. There has been movies, there has been a lot of documentaries. The problem mainly lies in that in spite of being aware of certain things, the feeling component on autism and what we need to do for a family and a child who's spectrum from autism is very, very low. The first reaction of most of the people always is of sympathy and empathy. I think when we are talking on the World Autism Day, I would like to appeal to everyone who's here with us that let us have a little bit of empathy when we deal with people with autism. They are not who are retarded. They are not people who don't have ability. Rather, it is all about we looking at various capabilities of these people, which is so very important. And that is why when we are creating awareness about autism, our major focus has to be on making everybody in the school, college, and in the social spectrum understand that how difficult it is for an autistic child to understand social cues. I have seen that how children, when they are in a mainstream school or in a social situations, they are unable to get across their message. They can understand a lot of things cognitively. They want to express, but because of their repetitive speech, because of they not being able to understand a lot of gestures, social norms, jokes, simple acronyms which children create and they can laugh, they go through a lot of pain. And that is why, in spite of children with autism getting admission in mainstream, what happens is that after a while, I see that these children don't want to go to school anymore. They start becoming extremely withdrawn. And sometimes when they are pushed, they become aggressive and react. And I would definitely today like to talk to everyone who is having a professional skill or having an insight and desire to help in this field. We need to create a lot more understanding in people that autistic children or youth and adolescent, they don't need sympathy. What they need is, as I have put in here on the slide, and Trina, if we could move to the next slide, please. I call it that empowerment of parents is extremely important. Parents have to be very proactive. And proactive means positive in your approach and take active steps. There were some small things which Dr. Praveen highlighted, but they are small and very profound and effective. When you repeat a speech of the child, you are only telling the child, I am there and it's okay. This message, it's okay. And if you are slightly different and if you take a little while and you don't have an eye contact, a very classic symptom of autism is they avoid eye contact. And that is very, very misinterpreted by a lot of people in society. I have seen people misinterpreting it and saying, वो कभी आंख से देख के बात नहीं करता है, इसका मतलब उसके मन में कुछ चोर है. Now, some of these myths or some of these notions, when they are projected on autistic child without knowing the context, they are very counterproductive and they create such negative ripple effect that including them and integrating them in mainstream becomes a huge challenge. I would request all the parents that make it a point to understand that everything in behavior which happens is not what you see on surface. And that is why let us invest a lot with our children with autism. I have worked very closely with children with autism. Today, I see some of them as very successful in their career. And what it means is we need to give them a chance. And not with pity and not with sympathy, but give them a chance by our own maturity and we broadening our horizon and understanding of what is normal. I think we have become extremely, I would say, regimented, very, very much into only this is normal. Who are we to decide this is normal? And that is why I think when you walk down the autism lane, it is all about a child wanting love me, support me. And how will you support me? First, understand me, encourage me, teach me. I learn differently. That doesn't mean I can't learn. Remind me. Yes. A list of things to be reminded. I have made visual timetables for these children. I have made a lot of, like, I remember this child I was working with, he was a great fan of donuts. So rather than making bullet points, I would always draw donuts for him and keep writing things which he needs to do at a particular time. And he would always smile at it. And that smile and me making a donut, just taking that little extra, that, okay, when you have to remember things, putting it as 1, 2, 3, 4, you find it very onus. He would always feel, oh my God, it is very difficult. So putting it in points, bullets, I just changed it to donuts. And then it was to football. And then it was to draw a few of his favorite candies in round and square. And he started responding. And that's the time I was again reminded, world is not only about IQ, it is EQ, emotional intelligence. And I think autism is all about we understanding that are we emotionally intelligent? Can we understand emotions of another person? Just because he or she cannot express it, or maybe I think I'm wrong to say they cannot express, it will be more correct to say they express it differently from what we understand. And that is why once you connect with them, you can guide them, motivate them, but most important is have patience with them because they are trying. So Autism Day celebrated today in the entire world is a reminder for all of us. There are a whole lot of people slightly different, but they are very capable. We just need to be a little patient with them. In spite of a lot of early interventions, Dr. Praveen, we need more professionals like you to create awareness. But yes, what we need is a whole lot of people trying to give some space. We need to just give them a little more chance. That's it. And if you ask one of us, I am a very big handicap if it has to be music. I can't play, can't sing. But just because my society does not judge me on musical skills, I am not considered to be the odd one out. We need to understand that music and some other aspects of life skills can give a lot of strength to autism. So do remember, autism today, this 2nd of April is a reminder that people with autism of all age are asking us, love me the way I am, support me, understand me, encourage me, teach me, remind me, guide me, motivate me. Are we capable of doing it for people who are slightly different from us? That is what our question is. And that's what our challenge is. Are we able to do that? As I have written here, why I keep saying in all my therapies, whenever I am conducting internships, there are currently more than 100+ students who across the country are doing internships of working with children, helping children with various kinds of disabilities with me during this entire pandemic year. And I must share with you that a lot of people now are feeling strongly for giving a chance to extremely performing Asperger's syndrome children. I would strongly recommend more watching of movies. One of the classic is Beautiful Mind. A person who finally was awarded the Nobel Prize. But yes, his early years were traumatic, and people went to an extent of not accepting him to almost diagnosing him as psychologically and mentally unfit. Trina, can we move to the next slide, please? I have seen a lot of success with parent support group. So I would share that with my personal experience, that parents who have children with autism, please come together and make a support group. You should create a lot of social occasions for your children to socialize, create your own parties, create your own trips to go out, create small get-togethers at each other's home, create a birthday party, create any kind of a thing so that all these children also get a lot more socializing. A very good activity which I do with a parent support group is I make all the parents write around 10 things about their child who's autistic. Then we create flashcards on it, and when we meet, like there are suppose 7 children and the parents come in together, we play a lot of games. And one of the game is we call it Tell Me Who I Am. And I will put in 3 clues over there. I like to play guitar. I love football, and Madonna is my favorite football star. I am very good with maths. And the question to the whole group is, tell me who I am. Tell me who I am. Tell me who I am. Now, when we say this 3 times, tell me who I am, the people have to guess and tell that these 3 qualities is in which person who's sitting here in the circle. We even play it as passing the parcel games, which we all have played. And these kind of activities with a parent support group has extremely highlighted the inner abilities of these children. They experience a lot of joy. They start coming forward to be in this group because this group does not make them feel they are the odd ones out. So playing these games, then the children who all had a lot of pain, they had scars of their interactions in the mainstream society, with this parent support group, a lot of those wounds were healed. I could again get these children back to open to get interacting. A lot of eye contact improved, and the parents had a very huge sense of relief, because all such parents, they have one inner desire, and if I empathize with them, is they would like their children to be independent and be accepted in society. And that is why parents, you have to do a lot of listening. Children with autism, as they move to puberty and adolescent period, they sometimes become very difficult. And you must understand, they are not being difficult with you. They are realizing more and more the struggle they have. There is a lot of frustration which they go through, that I can feel the right things, but I don't know how to communicate it to people. And their arrogance, sometimes aggressive behavior, sometimes being extremely moody, are actually all manifestation of their inner frustration. आप खुद सोच के देखिए, हम अगर किसी को कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शन देते हैं और वो 2 बार बोलने पे नहीं सुनता है, हमारा टोन बदल जाता है, तुरंत उसमें हमारी तरफ से गुस्सा और इरिटेशन आ जाता है. Can I and you put ourselves in their shoes and understand that for this child, it is an everyday struggle? मैं जो भी बताना या बोलना चाहता हूँ, महसूस तो करता हूँ, but nobody else understands it. And that is why empathy and persistence. Parents have that belief, have that faith. I've always felt fear always disables us. Faith enables us. And that is why do something which enhances your faith. It can be mindfulness, it can be meditation, it can be spending a little time with yourself and introspecting. The couple has to be a rock solid support, and you have to have that faith that this child who you have also has some larger plan in life. Easy to say, difficult to do. But if you believe in this, parents, I've seen miracles happening. I've seen children really for 1.5 years absolutely not going to school, almost shut in the room, getting addicted to internet, but then again coming out. And that is why, parents, the hard, long route is the right route. But then what brings in a lot of success for this is your faith. So have that faith that no, my child also has a big role to play. My child does not have to be like somebody else's child. I have to stop getting into this race that where my child is. I have to discover the uniqueness of my child. And he just needs to be a good human being, successful in his own way. And that is why, parents, I have never talked about very big theories about autism. I have always related to it as a mother. I'm also a mother of a child with speech delay. So I know what parents go through: extensive anxiety, period of darkness, helplessness. And that is what our greatest challenge is. We have to find our own source of belief and then see to it that we pass it on to our children. So I do hope that today on Autism Day, you will again pledge that I'm not going to be anxious. My A and the A which my child needs to get from me is acceptance. I keep accepting, I keep appreciating. That is the approach I have to keep. There will be many small steps, but I am walking in the right direction is important. I've always asked this question, parents, when you have to reach a destination, what is important, speed or direction? इस बात को सोच के देखिए, अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंचने के लिए हमें किस चीज की जरूरत है, स्पीड या डायरेक्शन? बहुत से लोग मुझे आंसर देते हैं, मैम दोनों। मैंने कहा ठीक है, अगर दोनों ही आपको चाहिए तो भी आप किसको ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देंगे? अगर आपका डायरेक्शन सही है और स्पीड स्लो है, तब भी आप मंजिल तक पहुंच जाएंगे, थोड़ा समय ज्यादा लगेगा। लेकिन अगर डायरेक्शन सही नहीं है तो स्पीड स्लो हो या फास्ट हो, आप मंजिल तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे। हम बहुत जगह चक्करों में घूमते रहेंगे। और अगर हमारी डायरेक्शन गलत है और स्पीड बहुत तेज है, तब क्या होगा? पक्का एक्सीडेंट ही होगा। And that is why, parents, working with children with autism, children with any kind of a learning disability, children with slow movement, developmental delays, the very practical aspect of it, which I have understood in life, is let's have the right direction. Let's be aware. Let's keep updating us of the new research and evidences which are coming in print. But let's keep walking. There's no need for us to run. हम मंजिल तक पहुंचेंगे चलते हुए. And as my next slide says, a lot of you can actually start using pet therapy. Animal, especially a dog, is an extremely good companion for children. And all of you who have an autistic child below age 14, I would very strongly recommend, please use a pet. A pet, a dog particularly. I am a dog lover and I have 2 of them. And trust me, In my days of loneliness, when my children moved out, I have a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old, two sons. All of us have to fill in this void when children move away. And these two dogs were amazingly helping. Anju ma'am, if your son is scared of dog, get him a cat, get him a rabbit, get him a bird. The idea of pet therapy is that animals don't depend on human social cues. Animals will respond to love, attention, and affection shown to them. And that is something which is a huge void in autistic children, because most of the time they are not able to get that reciprocated from their own peers. Children will avoid them or laugh at them, mock at them, ridicule them, reject them, or just leave them. All this constantly creates a lot of agony in them. उनको बहुत चोट पहुंचती है. लेकिन एक पेट, आप स्कूल से आओ, वो कूद कूद के आपके ऊपर चढ़ेगा, आप उसको डांट के भगा दो, 5 मिनट बाद वो फिर आएगा, he'll again lick you, he'll again. So try and get any kind of an animal. I have had this young girl, she was very scared of dogs, so we got a fish bowl. And then she had goldfish, then she had Nemo, and then she had so many fish. And gradually she said, ma'am, ये घंटों पेट से बात करती रहती है, ये मछली से बात करती है. मैं कहा, मैम, that's exactly what I want. Because, pets give you a lot of love and attention. They engage your child very meaningfully. They will not create any hurt. Some of you who are writing here that, ma'am, our society is not a pet proof, it's absolutely fine, ma'am. But now I see with more and more single children, there are a whole lot of families who have accommodated pets. So it is absolutely personal. I am just recommending it as my personal experience of huge success. I've literally seen children who were withdrawn, almost at the borderline of going into depression, come back full swing because of a pet. So that's one of my suggestions. You will have to look at it, weigh it as per your circumstances. But trust me, parents, whether it is a fish bowl, whether it is a small aquarium brought into your child's room, whether it is a cat, a rabbit, a bird, they can be very good companions to children. I have been working with this lady. She is in Singapore. She has a twin autistic children, and talking pigeon, this kakatu, has been a great healer. And in fact, she says that, ma'am, this pigeon has been extremely, I would say, instrumental in making my child speak a lot of new words. So please do check on this. And yes, the next slide, I will tell you why I am talking about this, friends. Because accept, appreciate, include, and creating areas of success are important for children. Whether it is counseling for parents, whether it is counseling for an autistic child, understand that as they move into teenage, we have to make them have a good self-esteem. So we need a lot more people to be open to taking counseling and guidance. We need parents actually, because parents go through a lot of stress. It is extremely stressful to bring one child who is absolutely as per the social norms and another child who's autistic, or a working mother with one autistic child. I've seen a lot of such combinations, parents. But trust me, we have to marry therapy along with medication and early intervention for more holistic guidance. And that is why I would summarize and give time to all to ask more with my last slide, which will make all of you realize that the whole essence of children with autism or children with any kind of a learning disability is all about creating this acceptance. The Maslow's need hierarchy constantly talks about that the most important part of individual's existence is need for security. And in autism, what happens is they don't feel secure with the social norms, their peer group, the social activities, which all, whether it is a किसी भी आप सेरेमनी में जाइए, आप किसी सेलिब्रेशंस में जाइए, आप अपने किसी फेस्टिवल को सेलिब्रेट करिए, human beings are social beings. So all our joy is related to being with other people. This is where children with autism, they have a huge gap. Anything which creates joy for them, it becomes an obstruction because it is through a social interaction. And that is where they have a handicap. So try and see that can we create another social alternate group with them where they start learning social norms and they start interacting with people and feel accepted. We need to create a lot of appreciation for them so that they find themselves rather than going into a shell. And any of their success areas, whether it is playing a musical instrument, whether it is doing puppetry, whether it is mime. Mime has been another art form which I have found extremely good for children with autism. You can actually get your child trained with drama. Drama is also now considered almost to the level of therapy. Music is considered therapeutic now. The reason is they are beyond just cognitive level. They are able to create a sense of emotional wellness. And that is what I believe is very important for parents and the caring community around such people to do. So let's hope that we are able to create that on 2nd of April, all of us taking a pledge. We need to do more. We need to expand more our understanding, and we need to create more acceptance for children with autism. So thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am. And I would love to hear from parents, get their feedback and answer their questions. Trina, you can go back to the autism slide of guide me, motivate me, because thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much for your appreciation. And if anybody has a question, I'll be very happy to answer that. Rachel, to answer your question, is autism curable? You know, autism is now considered, because of its developmental disorder, Dr. Praveen would definitely answer that yes, there are medication and therapy available. But rather than curing autism, I think the better word to use is management. People learn to live with autism in a very, very normal lifestyle by adapting and developing skills. So that is where our focus should be. And that is where, when we have early detection, we get more time to be able to develop those kind of skills and provide that kind of a support. Jyoti ma'am, to answer your question, I am not somebody who is a master on homeopathy. However, I am aware that people have been taking homeopathic medicine, which enhances brain activity, which improves concentration and wellness. I have always believed that counseling and therapy coexist with a lot of other alternative healing mechanisms. So if you feel that homeopathy can help, I would say you should definitely try. Thank you, Anika ma'am. Thank you so much. A very relevant question, ma'am. Pet and sibling cannot be compared. They both are very important. A sibling, I have seen that a lot of sensitization has to be done to a sibling. an older or a younger one. Because if a sibling becomes a support system for his autistic brother or sister, you cannot have any better support system. And how we need to do that is why when I have helped families with an autistic child and an autistic adolescent, I have always inquired that if they have a sibling, what is the relationship of the sibling. I have got both, one where the sibling has a lot of empathy and the sibling feels unhappy whenever they have to leave the elder brother behind. So there I have counseled the family and used this sibling as a very major therapy partner with him. But they have to be coached. Sometimes in their love and affection they become over jealous about, no, my brother or my sister can do all this and my parents are not giving a chance. So we need to give them the right information. We need to make small achievable goals what they can do with their brother or sister, and we need to include them into an intervention. Some cases I have seen that there is a sibling, the sibling support is that he wants his parents to give all his time to the sibling who needs it more, but feels very lonely, ignored, and at times even embarrassed about the presence of his sibling. So there the sibling needs to be counseled differently. And there I would say that the parents have a very major role to play, that rejection from others is still accepted by the child, but rejection from his own sibling is very, very hurtful. So there is not one, I can say, tailor-made role on sibling. Siblings, if they are supportive, they are great assets. Siblings, if they become very upset because of the parent giving more time to this child or feeling embarrassed, that sibling also needs to be counseled, because they can then have a very, very counter effect. So I hope I have given you your answer. Trina ma'am, I would request you to kindly type our email ID and phone number. ADHD, Sunny sir, is not autism. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. ADHD. There are around 9 kinds of ADHD disorders which have been diagnosed. There is a separate test for diagnosing ADHD. However, your question is very right, because there are a lot of children who have ADHD and autism both. But ADHD does not come under autistic spectrum disorder. There are a lot of children who only have ADHD but not autism. Aarti ma'am, your child is just less than 2 years. As Dr. Praveen was telling you, I would request you that you need to meet a clinical psychologist or go to a hospital, maybe like people like Dr. Praveen, and get your child tested. However, a confirmation of autism should only happen after 3 years of age. So do a lot of video recording of your child's movements, social interactions, and start a lot of early intervention of language development, eye-hand coordination training. Use a lot of Montessori equipments of touch, feel, act, see, speak. Those are the kind of activities we teach parents. See, speak, touch, speak, see, touch, then speak, and try and see that is your child responding. Use a lot of personal touch, contact with the child, showing a lot of things, right from a flashcard to a screen, whatever you can use. Use a lot of audio and see what your child starts responding to. Sunny sir, I would suggest I need to ask many more questions about your son before I could suggest. So Sunny sir, I would suggest maybe take the email ID which Trina has put in on the chat box. Trina put my personal email ID also there. You all can see it on the screen also. saloni@salonipriya.com. Write in detail about your child. Once I understand that, I'll be in a better position. Ma'am, phone or TV excessively used by an autistic child will further reduce his or her social interactions. So, dependence on a mobile phone or a TV has to be reduced if you want your autistic child to develop skills. Because phone is very comfortable. Phone does not demand them to speak or interact or do anything, so they actually get very naturally attracted to phone, and they would be attracted a lot to playing games, because what do games do, or even watching a video, it gives you pleasure, and we all want to be into a state which gives us pleasure. But then mindlessly playing repetitive games which do not enhance vocabulary or language or any kind of a skill will only make your child addictive to phone and take him or her away from the real world. Why autistic children? All children, thanks to pandemic, we all discovered that the phone can be such a tool for learning. The entire schools were reaching children through phone. But the problem with smartphones and TV is we use them only for entertainment. And most of it for young children, mindless entertainment with no values, no life skills, no good knowledge things, only mindless, repetitive play. So that is something which I have always advised and counseled parents to don't make your children addicted to. But yes, if your child is using the phone to search, create a project, learn something, pursue a hobby, learn music, learn language, improve maths, or just play chess also, all those are productive activities to do through smartphone and internet. So it is very important that we choose what our children are doing with the smartphone and TV. But yes, if 2 hours of TV watching is there for a child, he chooses programs which are on like that's science in your backyard, or watches Net Geography. Or I knew this child, he was very amazed with bridges. So I suggested that you have this program which is about ancient architecture, and right from how the Howrah Bridge was constructed and how you have the Golden Bridge in San Francisco, they are actually, and the program used to be mega structures. It has created so much of logical reasoning in this child. He actually draws very well. He has now so much information. That is a very good use of TV. So TV or phone in itself are not bad parents for any child. How we use it, what is the duration we use it, and do we see it as escape or do we see it as educational tool, is what decides whether they are good or not. Yes.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes sir.
Hello, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
I
think
who's speaking?
Hello.
We can hear you, sir. Kindly
Yeah, I'm Dr.
introduce
Praveen Kumar. I'm Dr. Praveen Kumar.
Yes, Dr. Praveen Kumar. Please.
So
carry on.
I was just looking at this question about Bera test. Somebody is asking.
Yes, sir. Please respond.
Yeah. So let's see. Generally, children with autism, they have normal hearing. That means, so first thing when you say autism, it's like you exclude whether hearing is normal or not. So if there is some problem in any ear, like for example they are saying right ear is not normal hearing, so I think you have to go to the as per you have to consult the ENT, especially like maybe pediatric ENT people, they will be able to assess better. So you can go according to their advice. So whatever they advise, so if the hearing is significantly impaired, so that means like as per their ENT advice, like you can go ahead with the whatever they advise. So as I said, sometimes generally in autism hearing is normal. So lot of parents, this is the common question they ask, whether my child can hear or not. So children with autism, they hear but they don't respond. sometimes they respond to the sounds which are favorite for them. For example, जो often parents ये बोलते हैं कि वो मैं बुलाने से respond नहीं करता है, but when there is a ad or any mobile music they respond. So this is what generally seen in children with autism. So their hearing is normal. तो कभी कभी ये भी हो सकता है कि sometimes there may be mild hearing loss, but along with that also sometimes autism features may be there. So ये आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि you have to consult your pediatric जो pediatrician है, और जो आपको pediatric neurologist है, और जो pediatric psychiatrist जो भी देख रहे हैं. So is there any autism features? And along with that, is if there is a hearing loss, that means you have to consult both. You have to consult here ENT doctor. Acha, he said that we have to wait for 1 to 2 years. He has given. Yeah, I think then you just follow the advice of the ENT doctor. If he has said to wait for 1 to 2 years, probably that's what it depends upon the severity of hearing loss. So आप just उनका advice follow कीजिए, and also like if there is any autism symptoms are also there, like you just continue the therapy. Like वो भी बहुत important है. And there is some question about when I was asked to get a Fragile X and so Fragile X testing is the thing. What I say is, so generally in children with autism, sometimes generally we do not have specific identifiable cause, but 10% of children with autism, they have sometimes genetic syndrome association. So 2 or 3 common genetic syndromes are one is Fragile X syndrome, tuberous sclerosis. These are some of the common genetic syndromes which might present with autism like symptoms. So kabhi kabhi ye hota hai ki so we do genetic testing for children with autism when they have other symptoms like other dysmorphic कुछ features है जो Fragile X का जैसा features जैसा लग रहा है, तो so we do Fragile X testing. So that is not anything harmful. उसमें कुछ डरने का कोई चीज नहीं है.
I think it will be better if
So Fragile X testing is not a like you should not be very worried about, or it's this one Fragile X testing ये routine एक blood test होता है, and sometimes even Fragile X testing is done for as like a genetic testing. For example, there is a one child with autism now. The parents wants to take another child. So in that time, at that time, sometimes as a clinician we need to exclude is there any genetic causes for autism. So because that decides what is the subsequent risk for the child with autism. So in that case, we do some basic genetic like test like karyotyping, Fragile X screening. So these are some of the tests which are done. So that should not be the concerning. I think I'm just trying to look from any medical aspects of questions. Which so regarding regression, somebody has asked.
Very important, Praveen sir. Thank you so much for adding that, Praveen sir.
Yeah.
And I think Priyanka is raising her hand. If you have a question, please ask, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, Priyanka, please ask your question. You are on mute, bro. Hi, Priyanka ma'am, are you here?
There is another hand, Bhavika Anand. I think she wants to ask something. I think all of us, if we just type it on the
Bhavika,
chat box,
please
it becomes
ask your question. You are on mute also. Bhavika, you can unmute itself also. Yes, now you are on mute. Please ask your question. Bhavika, you're in, I think, some network bandwidth issue, so your voice is breaking.
Hello.
Bhavika, you may type your question in chat box. We will answer.
Just name for the is some test. So there is a question about like whether autistic children go for normal school or yeah. See, it depends on children's like cognitive level also. So sometimes the children with autism, as I said, like they can have IQ in a normal range, they can have above normal IQ. Sometimes children IQ is less. So if the children's IQ is better, so then they can be still in, or even if it is in a near normal level. So if the autism severity is less, so generally they can still go to the normal school. So when there is only IQ level is like you can say that or like autism severity, it depends also on autism severity. So milder spectrum of ASD children with a better IQ, they can go to normal school, definitely. So ideally what is recommended is integrated school for all children with ASD. So irrespective of the severity, so but madam will be able to give more insights on that, like what type of schooling which is recommended for children with ESD. uh,
For ASD, it is very difficult to say that they should go to a special school. I know actually feel that the best remedy and therapy for autistic children is if they are integrated in mainstream, because they learn a lot by observing other children. They learn a lot by listening to normal conversations, which for a parent only to keep recreating in the home is very difficult. But yes, bringing these children into mainstream school becomes very challenging if schools are not empathetic and they are not ready to accommodate. That's what I've been working for so many years. But yes, I can definitely say that choose a school which accommodates, choose a school who are ready to give extra time and kind of provide support system. Choose schools who have lesser number of children in each class, because a class size of 50-55, which is very common in Indian schooling setups, is extremely intimidating for these children. So sometimes they go to a nursery class with 30 kids, and as they come to 1 and 2, and the number becomes 50-55 in a class, it becomes extremely difficult. So I would suggest parents use schools which are nearby. Don't let autistic children have a long 1 hour drive in the bus to reach school, because that bus in itself is a social situation, and sometimes it becomes extremely demanding for a child to be in that bus with peer group which is very variable. There are children of all age groups, so please be very careful of these. A smaller school size where the class size is 30-25 will always be more advisable till class 5. Classes KG to class 5 is a time where a lot of academic accommodation can be done. We don't have any very hard line drawn that a child has to do this much. And that is where an open-minded school, a school head who's ready to accommodate, has empathy, would be a school better rather than any big brands and any big names. Look at what is required for your child and accordingly choose the school parents. That's what I could advise best. I wouldn't recommend any board or any such thing, because let's hope with national education policy, there is a lot of emphasis on including children of all kinds of disabilities. So I hope more educational institutions accommodating, they become more accepting, and that would be the answer to your question. Anju ma'am, your question is very valid. I won't use the word normal, but yes, I will definitely suggest that it's a difficult, two children balancing anyway is difficult, and with one child who's autistic and another child who's not, the parents have a very, very tough balancing task. I would suggest that for me to help you, I actually need to know a lot more about the two children, their age group, the age difference they have, and their relationship. So I would suggest maybe write a mail to me. We could discuss it. So why I said your question is very valid is because this is something where you are the main therapist. You will have to balance both these children and see to it that they both grow up respecting each other as different people and accepting each other. And that journey starts now. It will not happen जैसे बहुत से लोगों को लगता है अभी छोटे हैं, बड़े होंगे तो खुद समझ जाएंगे. That is wrong. We'll have to build up those relationships very early. We as parents will have to create a bridge. And this bridge almost works like a seesaw. Road upar niche hota hai. So it needs a lot of daily intervention to see through. But trust me, the rich dividends later.
Thank you so much, Saloni ma'am and Dr. Praveen.
Thank
Am
you.
I
Priya.
audible now?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
So-
for having me.
And we are really thankful that you both of you have come over and shared so much of learnings and understandings with parents and us. And we are glad that we got this opportunity to talk about such an important issue and matter. And awareness about autism is, as always, and it is important, and it is, paramount that everyone, each one of the parent, are comfortable enough to talk about their child and acknowledge the situation that the child is in and do something concrete about it. And early intervention is one such way, like rightly said and explained by Dr. Praveen.
Yeah.
So thanking both of you. We have taken a lot of extra time that we had promised, but yes, we really enjoyed, and I hope our parents got their answers. And in case any one of you has any more questions, please do write into us at contact@momsbelieve.com, and we can pass on to them whatever your questions are. Thank you so much, Saloni ma'am. Thank you so much, Praveen sir, for
Thank
coming over. Have a very good night.
Thank you very much.
All the best to everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and carry on having belief.
Thank you so much, ma'am.